So we're going to look at continuing brand and product management. This is the second half. So we are moving in, we left off at product life cycle. So we've done the first 4 elements, and we should finish the remainder in this session. So just to go over, because it is important, as I mentioned in class, you should be able to recognize product life cycle curve. You should be able to draw it, just freehand it. So usually starting at 0, when we launch a product, that's when the first sales are. So usually sales happen here. Before we've launched a product, we're at 0 in terms of time and money. So once we launch, we move off from the origin, the 0 point. And so we can, let me just stop sharing so it's on a bigger screen. And you can see the curve going up like that. So the introductory phase is that slow start. Before people really have figured out, is this a product that's going to be something worth knowing? People are waiting to hear reviews, read reviews, hear what their friends have said. And then at some point after that, the graph shoots upwards, what we call an exponential curve, hopefully. How high this curve depends on how successful the product is. So our marketing, if we've designed a good product from doing our solid research, and we have a good marketing campaign, hopefully that reaches very high heights. And at some point, when it starts to tail off, we're at the top of the mountain there. That is the end of the growth phase. So the growth phase is when it starts to take off after introductory. So I for introductory, G for growth. And then it hits a mature phase, that's kind of on average a tailing off. So let me just delete that for. And so we have, this is the mature phase, and I've purposely tailed off there compared to our official diagram, which goes down into senility phase. I've tailed off halfway through decline, if you see here on the diagram, because if we're doing our jobs right in our marketing, when we're in mature phase, we should be already succession planning. We should be planning to get rid of it. Once it hits decline, we get it off the market before it goes into senility, which is where we start losing money on it. So we might still be profitable to some degree after the mature phase, but we're heading sharply downwards, and we want to get it off the market and have a production. So that's the D is for decline. And as I said, the last day, most graphs just don't show senility, because we should have the market, we should have the product off the market. And we should never have products that hit that phase. So the only products on our books should be in those phases or in development, that they're back here somewhere before launch. We have a pipeline of stuff. If we're in the mobile phone business, for example, we could have things in various stages of development. And once this product goes off the market, the product in this section will be launched, and everything moves forward probably, although we hope that things stay longer in these phases, especially in this phase, because up there is where the cash cows, that's where the profits are made. We've, at this point, usually we've hit our break-even point. That's what we're aiming for, usually in the mobile phone industry and many other industries, especially where products are short-lived. We want to make sure we make back all this R&D time, the money we've spent in this time, we try to make it. That's why the products are so highly priced on the launch. And then after a certain period of time, they start being offered on various deals and things like that on your charge plan and so on. And they come down in price as they go through the phases. Because there's a lot more choice in those ranges for your customers. So let's go back to the slides. So moving on then, when we talk about your product range, we've mentioned it a number of times at this point, and the definition is the number or scale of choice of products or services offered by the supplier. So a wide range indicates that a large number of different types of products are available, whereas depth means that there are different variations of a product. So variations of a product might include different sizes of the same, essentially the same product. So if we're selling shampoo, so it's exact same shampoo in the little airport travel size, as well as the normal size and maybe the family size or economy. So that would be depth of range, where we're offering different variations of that same product, shampoo or conditioner, whatever it is, different color options. So essentially the same product, but slight tweaking. Additionally, each product may have width. Sorry, the color is in the width as well. So within each product. So not to be confused with the wide range. So we're getting into multiple dimensions in that case. And so the range can be used to differentiate the offering. So it could be that one individual product is not much different to another competitor's product on the market, but what we're offering our customers is a choice. We have all these kinds of things in different shapes and sizes and options. And so sometimes if for cost-saving measures, we might reduce the range on offer. We call that rationalization. So if you hear of often in recessionary times, or if a company is struggling, they'll say they are looking at rationalizing their range, and that's what they're doing. They're going to cut out some of the sizes or some of the options, and then by doing that, they would hope that the people who would normally have bought the one that's cut will buy one of the other ones. So it will increase the sales of the other products, hopefully not lose too many customers overall, because a certain proportion want that particular thing and they may move to competitors. But the hope would be, and that would be factored into the plan, is that most of the previous customers of whatever in the range is being cut will move to the other products in the range. And that, can be known in two ways: by experience, try it and see, and do your research. So as always, we're advocating doing a research and try to reduce risk in that way, by trying to understand our customers as much as possible, understand what's going on with them, and yeah. So rationalization, the definition then, is the change in the scope of a firm's offering brought about by serious review of the demand for a product in the market and the product's contribution to the firm's objectives, both strategic and financial. So firm's objectives, obviously profit is probably one of them. It could be to try and maintain market share, would be another as well, that might be important. And we might not be making a lot of money out of a particular product, but if we cut it, those people will go perhaps to a competitor and that will increase their profits. and make them a stronger company. So that's sometimes factored into business decisions, that although it may not be very profitable for us, we want to keep our competitors from becoming more profitable. So product portfolio planning then. So we've mentioned width of your range and depth. So the width specifically is the number of products, and the depth is the average number of product variations. So for each product, how many different variations. So the product mix can be extended in a number of ways. We can introduce variations in models or style. We can change the quality of products offered at different price levels. So in a supermarket, sometimes you see a value range or a premium range of their own brand goods. So that's a difference in quality level. By developing associated items. So a paint manufacturer selling paint brushes would be a classic example. So they are completely different type of item. The manufacturer of paint is a completely different factory than the manufacturer of paint brushes, but they are associated items. Typically, people who are buying paint may also buy paint brushes. And they go hand in hand. And then final option is by developing new products that have little technical or marketing relationship to the existing range. So that's a complete diversification. So from time to time, just like reviewing each product in our range, we may do an overall product portfolio analysis. So the product market matrix is a simple technique used to classify the product or even a business according to the features of the market and features of the product. The most widely used approach is the BCG, Boston Consulting Group Growth Share Matrix. So the Boston Consulting Group, they're, I guess, world-renowned for various think tank, and they come out with various things. So a number of decades ago, they came out with this BCG Growth Share Matrix, and it's still referred to today and current. Excuse me, in current use. So the BCG classifies products or businesses. If we're a company, for instance, a multinational company, we could analyze, we may have different geographical divisions. So we might have an Irish office, a UK office, a France office, and so on. And then we might review them as a whole, or on it. This is, we'll see it in a minute. It's a bit like a graph. We'll over in the form of a box diagram. So products are positioned on the matrix as circles, and the size of the circle, so how wide it is, the diameter, is proportional to the sales revenue. So it's a clear picture of well-performing or poorly performing items, whatever way we're using it. So whether we're looking at individual offices and looking at the sales in each of those different regions, or are we looking at different products across the range that the company offers. So strategic business unit is a section within a larger organization that runs as a separate unit. So as I said, it could be a geographical unit in a multinational organization. So they have their own sales figures, they have their own revenue, they have their own profit figures, and manufacturing perhaps as well. So typical SBU is a division of the organization where the managers have control over their own resources and some discretion over deployment. So they choose staffing and all that sort of thing as well. And so because they're all separate units that act as a separate business within the overall organization. We can then get the proper stats in order to compare them to each other. That's essentially what we're doing in this exercise. So I'll just flash up the graph and then we'll come back to this page to explain it. So here, as I said before, we love our box diagrams as marketers. So it's turning a graph into a simple box diagram. So in this case, on the vertical axis, we've got the market growth rate. So is this type of product, the market for this type of product, is this a flash in the pan trend, or is this an upward trend, a growth? There's growth in this market potentially for all the products, including our competitors and ourselves. So, and it starts at low and goes up to high. And so on the horizontal axis, it's our performance within that market. So whether or not it's a good market to be in, how well are we doing compared to our competitors? So, and this is going from high to low in this case. So our market share, do we have a high market share, or is it a low market share? And so when we draw in, so as it is a graph, we could be up here, we could be down here, we could be over here, up here, wherever. And wherever we put it in, we're not putting in just an X, we're putting in a circle. And the size of that circle is dependent on the actual sales, the revenue that particular product makes or the unit makes. So if, for example, we find that the market growth rate is quite high, but we're not doing so well. Our market share is low, so it's on the latter half, the right-hand half of this box diagram, and then it's in the top half of the growth rate. We've got a problem child. This means it's something we can work on. There are no bad children. So we just need to figure out what's going on and work on it. And that child will turn into a star. That's the aim if we do our job right. So if we can improve our market share with our good marketing practices, then we turn it into a star, and a star is generally making money for the company. At some point, the stars start to, if they've been on the market a while, they enter their mature phase. We're talking back to the graph here on the board, where we were in a growth phase for our product, and now we're heading into a mature stage. We still have high market share, we've high sales up in this stage, so we're not dropping back to the right hand side, but the growth rate of the market is dropping. So we drop from being a star to being a cash cow. We still have the sales, but there's nowhere good to go from here. We're making a lot of cash already because in the earlier phases, hopefully we've paid back all our R&D expenses. We have hit break even perhaps a long time ago, and so most of the income that's coming in is now profit because we've paid our fixed expenses perhaps, and we just have ongoing variable costs to cover per each unit we sell. So those cash cows and stars, the profit we make here helps to pay for developing anything in the other side. So then the final one is dog. And this is where it's not in an attractive market. The market growth rate is very low, and our performance within that is also very low. So there's nothing good to say about this. So just like with the product life cycle, when things start to go off the end, these are the products that we would consider cutting. There's nothing really good to say about what's going on here, and it perhaps isn't worth the cost in trying to work on our marketing campaign to improve it. So let's just read out each description. So problem child says it's a small market share, but in a high growth industry. The generic product is clearly popular, but customer support for demand is limited. So that's up here. The star is a product with high market share in a high growth industry, potential for generating significant earnings now and in the future. And then the cash cow, so the all stars will, if they're on the market long enough, will turn into cash cows. High market share, but in a mature, slow growth market, well-established products, typically here, with a high degree of customer loyalty, and the cash cow makes a substantial contribution to overall profitability. And therefore, it's the cash cow that pays for the R&D of anything that hasn't yet been launched. And then the dog, a product characterized by low market share and low growth, typically well-established product, but one which is losing customer support and may have cost disadvantages. In other words, we could be losing money, so we need to cut it. Now, moving on, and we always start with definitions. They're very important, especially at level 6. You have to show examiners in an exam that, number one, you know the definitions of things, and then look at seeing if you can show that you can apply it. So in this case, brand is a device for distinguishing a product or service from all others. This may be the name, symbol, or any other device which is unique to the company and its legal entitlement. Branding is the practice and technique of creating, devising, and communicating such a device. A brand is shorthand for all the FAB characteristics we associate with it. So it allows the customers easy recall. So when they see something in the market, in the shop, for instance, if you think of one of the most recognizable brands in the world is Coca-Cola. You walk into a shop, you had a vague idea you were thirsty, you walk in and you see Coca-Cola, you see the red cans in the fridge, and instantly you can imagine, when you see that branding, you instantly can imagine what it looks like in a glass. You can imagine, you're thinking that it's fizzy, thirst quenching. You might be picturing some ads in your head, some of those ads that show the cans being opened or the gasp when you first take a drink, all that sort of thing. And it's all reminding, it's a shortcut to remembering all we know about Coke. And it's very easy to remember because the branding is so strong. So a brand leadership is what we're aiming for with our marketing strategies. It's the golden prize for marketing manager, one which requires massive effort, resources, imagination, persistence, and above all, consistency of value delivery. So for a strong brand, we always start with a good product. As I've said many times, we're not in this business to con anyone, and we're not going to be around very long if we start off with a faulty product. Proper marketing begins and ends with the customer. So we understand, we gather the information, we do our research to find out what the customers want, and then we devise our product. So we don't start with a product and then just see who we can flog it to. We are in the business of creating good products that satisfy our customers, and then we sell it back to them. We find where those customers are, whose needs that we know we can satisfy, and we have to communicate back to them. So we advertise and we do marketing campaigns and so on. Otherwise, they won't know we have this awesome product that satisfies all their needs. or that one particular need. So the power of a brand name increases the value of a product in the eyes of the customer. They associate with that brand name, symbol, device, or packaging some other factor of value which is beyond the core product. So powerful is that brand in representing the characteristics of the product that it sometimes enters the language as meaning the product itself. So Hoover, we have turned into Hoover was originally a particular brand name of vacuum cleaner. Nobody in Ireland says they're going to do vacuuming tonight. Everybody will say they're hoovering, or they're going to Hoover, blah, blah, blah. So the brand name Hoover has become a verb. Google has become a verb. Google it. Biro is another example. A ballpoint pen. Biro was a particular brand. Again, common in Ireland. Tato is an Irish crisp potato chip brand. Although Tato have managed through very careful and successful marketing campaigns retaken their brand name. But when these brand names become meaning the whole product range or the whole offering on the market, they're called a generic name. So generic name is the name given to a product class. So an example would be analgesics or painkillers, rather than the product name paracetamol or the brand name Panadol. So in marketing, it has become a way of describing a brand name which has come to stand for the whole product class. And again, Hoover Sellotape is another example, which would be said often instead of vacuum cleaner or adhesive tape. It doesn't even roll off the tongue very easily to say adhesive tape. So in America, they call it Scotch tape. In Ireland, they call it sellotape in the UK. An important aspect of brand management is preventing the brand name from becoming generic. And you might ask, why? Why is it not a good thing? Surely we're getting brand recognition every time somebody says sellotape. What we're losing is sales. What we're losing is every time we advertise, we're actually advertising all our competitors' products as well. If if you imagine your friend on campus is going to the canteen and you say, well, or going to the shop and you say, here, could you see if they have any sellotape? Actually, they're just going to get any kind of adhesive tape and not specifically the brand sellotape. So our advertising sellotape is just is increasing the sales of any kind of adhesive tape if that's what people are translating it as. And so Panadol often is used when people actually just mean they want any kind of painkiller or they want any kind of paracetamol. So Tato, for a brief time, was entered general language, just meaning any kind of crisp. So if you sent your mate to the canteen and said, get me Tato on your way back, the friend would just feel they have license to buy any brand of Tato or any brand of crisp, and they'll just get whatever the first one they see. So again, any advertising campaign or marketing campaign could be just putting money in the pockets of your competitors. So the key is to try and stop your brand from becoming that generic name. So the brand which consistently holds the largest market share when measured by brand sales is your brand leader. So Coca-Cola in this case. You should note that there are some manufacturers who make a number of brands and therefore may be said to hold a larger market share than the brand leader. So in washing detergent is a classic example. There are two main companies in the world that make washing detergent, Procter & Gamble and Unilever, or Lever Brothers as they're known in some places. And they make a whole wide range of different types of washing detergent, making it seem to the customer that there's a wide variety of choice available, but really most of what you're looking at is those two companies. They maintain their position by continually defending the quality of their output and relevance to consumers over a long time. It's also, this is the brand leaders. It's also the outcome of consistently putting before the customer the right concept and the image through effective communication. So the right kind of marketing campaign. Allied to this phenomenon are the concepts of brand preference and brand loyalty. In addition, the behavioral concept of brand switching is clearly evident. So brand switching, as the name suggests, is people who may previously have been loyal to one brand, suddenly changing and buying a different brand and maybe swapping back and forth, depending on where the offers are. So here's some definitions. First, brand preference is the degree to which consumers or customers express their inclination to select a brand of their choice by reference to their purchasing habits or by asking for a given brand. So essentially, they go into the shop and they ask, if they don't see it on the shelf, they'll ask for it. So people who are brand loyal to Coke or Diet Coke, they'll go into a corner shop expecting to see it. If they see it on the shelf, despite all the other array of options, they will specifically buy the one they want. And if they don't see the one they want, a large proportion of them will actually go to the counter and ask, do you not have any Coke? Or do you have any in the back? That sort of thing. And brand loyalty then, so preference is about that purchase occasion, and loyalty is over time, again and again and again, will they keep coming back to your brand. So the extent to which consumers of a brand tend to repurchase in the face of continuing availability of alternatives. So it's looking at the same idea from two different angles, okay? And brand switching, as I mentioned, already, the disposition or the tendency to change brands for marginal gains in price or perceived value. So different kinds of offers grab their attention and they'll go for that. And brand positioning, this is our positioning strategy in the mind of the customer. STP, it's the P of STP, segmentation, targeting, and positioning. The strategy to ensure that the brand in the eyes of the public has a distinct position in the market with respect to quality, style, status, or a combination of these. So it's the position in the market, in the eyes of the customer, in the mind of the customer. So a positioning strategy is what we are trying to get our customers to believe or see us in relation to the competition, like offering the best value, the most reliable, that sort of thing. So further brand positioning. Definition, brand positioning is one of the techniques which is crucial in developing a brand leader. This is done through a series of activities in which key elements of product perception, so again, in the mind of the customer, are examined and subsequently tested in relation to key ideas which may be used in the brand communication strategy. Each brand should have a unique niche, independent of the similarity of the substance of the products with which it competes. So obviously, compared to the competition, we have to have something that gives us that edge, something that makes us stand out, a competitive advantage. Why are people buying our product instead of all the others available? And discovering the niche in the market can be that first step in developing an effective brand. So to try and find that niche, we can use a technique called perceptual mapping. And it's using this kind of graph. Let me make it a little bit bigger. So we can take any characteristic of the product or the market and put one on one axis and the other on another axis. So in this case, we're looking at price on the vertical versus quality on the horizontal. So we just read underneath. In perceptual mapping, as illustrated, the product can be related to two dimensions of the way customers view the existing market. Here we see that there is a relatively low inhabitation of the medium quality, medium price area. So somewhere around the middle, both middle in terms of price and middle in terms of quality. There's no X's, bar this one sort of over there. So there's nobody really competing with them in this space. Average quality, average price would be bang in the middle here. So this represents a potential niche for the no-nonsense type of product. We're not promising bells and whistles, and we're not promising to be the cheapest like these ones over here. These are the economy brands. They're all low quality. So they're on the low end of this horizontal axis, but they're also on the low in terms of price. So they're the economy. People are happy enough paying low prices to get low quality. So they need this type of product. They can't afford the bells and whistles, happy to get a no frills type of thing. And then on this other side, we've got ones very high on the quality and still slightly below average on price. So they're offering, for people who want to pay a bit more than these ones, getting a huge difference in quality from here to here. So people who can afford a bit more, and then there's other people getting, paying the higher price and still similar quality level. And then on this side, high price, low quality. So this is sort of, anybody in here is kind of cowboy territory, not offering a good deal, not likely to be around for a long time. Excuse me. So scaling techniques, we're trying to do our interviews and so on, derived from psychology and are used to determine the nature and intensity of an individual's attitudes towards objects or ideas, thus frequently called attitude scales. So this is part of how we can look at and try and assess the perception of our customers of the product. So the most commonly ones used in market research are Likert scale, and we've talked about this in the market research topic, where respondents are asked to express their agreement or otherwise. So it's usually strongly agree, agree, neutral, disagree, strongly disagree, something like that, with various statements about the characteristics of a brand. And then the other one is the semantic differential scale, where the technique involves respondents indicating a notional value on a scale between two poles. So again, they kind of have to just draw an X, perhaps on a line from one extreme to the other in whatever the question is. So the Ansoff Growth Matrix again, doesn't roll off the tongue, but it's one of the most difficult things for an organization is to manage growth. How do we plan for growth? How do we see what's where the potential is and so on. So this matrix is one of the most widely known and well-used strategic frameworks for considering ways to achieve growth. In order to grow, organizations may use various combinations of product and market decisions. So again, as I said before, we love her box diagram. So here's another one. So on the vertical axis, we've got markets, and in this case, it's binary. It's either new or existing. So it's a whole box or nothing. So whether it's a new market, new market on the bottom or existing market on the top. And then on the horizontal axis, it's again existing products or new products. So it's either left for existing or right for new. So what should we do in our strategy? So we just read underneath. Increasing market penetration involves increasing the market share of existing products in existing markets. The firm can get existing customers to buy more or new customers to buy. So existing customers, so this is attempted in a number of ways. For example, by lowering the price. So if we have existing customers with existing products, we're looking at market penetration. And so we're trying to, so we might have buy one, get one free offers. So they are sales promotions. We might just overall lower the price. Or we might tweak the segmentation. So, excuse me. If we have a new product in the existing market, so we have current customers who are happy with our product range as it is, and we extend that range with a new product and hope that some of those existing customers or potential customers in that market will buy this product. So decades ago, when Coca-Cola created a Diet Coke or Coke Zero, that was product development in the existing market. So it was a product development move to increase their sales overall. Some customers will move from the original Coke to Diet Coke or Coke Zero, but some other customers, potential customers in that market will now buy where they didn't buy before. Now we could move into new market as well. So it could be a completely new geographic area, that kind of thing. And so we use the products we already have in this new area. That would be market development, or we could design a whole new set of products in this whole new area, and that would be product diversification. So we'd be moving into areas we have no familiarity with, usually in that case. So just to go over that again, product development involves developing new products for existing markets, refers to genuinely new products, not just marginal improvements or changes to packaging and presentation. You know, every time soap detergent or washing detergent has a new whiter than white, that's not really product development in this sense. They're just kind of gimmicks to, yeah. So it's the kind of extension of the range and that kind of thing. Firms should consider possible cannibalization of existing business, where customers may switch to the new product at the expense of sales in the existing one. Cannibalization in marketing terms occurs when an organization undertakes a new activity, such as launching a new product, which adversely affects their existing business. So for example, we mentioned shampoo before. If we, in product development, we're targeting the travel market, and so we normally had a 200 ml bottle of our shampoo product, our classic shampoo, and now we are extending the range of it by offering this 50 ml version that can go through airports and so on. It would be a problem if some people, instead of buying, when they normally would buy 200 ml, buy the 50 ml instead. That's going to be a problem overall for our company, because the profit will be a lot lower per unit on the smaller bottle than on the bigger bottle, and we have just eaten our own profits in that case. Now, market expansion then, or market development, requires considerable investment in setting up and developing new distribution networks. Effective market research is necessary to ensure the availability, accessibility, and suitability of an effective demand for the products in the new market. Diversification then, final option, involves the highest risk strategy for growth, as it requires the development or acquisition of an entirely new product to enter an entirely new market. And as this definition suggests, often the easiest way into that is to buy a company that's already doing that. That would be an example of diversifying as well. Just buy a company that has a different product to you, selling that product in a different market than you're already operating in. Now, so exam type questions on this topic, the whole overall topic of branding and product development, product management, could be from various different past papers, describe or give definitions of any one or a number of these, depending on the way the question is put. Sometimes it could be compare this and this or whatever. So like 5 marks each for an overall 10% question. So it would be expecting you to go and start. It's mainly looking for a definition, especially if it's more than one of these asked in the same 10-mark answer. A 10-mark answer is looking for probably half a page to a page, depending on what it is and depending on your style of answering. Some people are more succinct and effective with fewer words. So it's just a matter of going back and looking up definitions, but also add an example. So the definition shows you've memorized, you know the stuff. Adding an example shows the examiner you understand it and can apply it in a situation. So that's really at level 6, that's what we're looking for. So try and, kind of weave in, waffle a little bit, put it in a paragraph in some way, stretch it out. 5 functions of packaging, 10-mark answer. So, each of the 5 is 2 marks. So name it, define it, or give an example. We went down through examples in class. Protection of the product, for instance. If you think of an egg carton, what is an egg carton doing for the customer? And so on. So other questions could be use an example of a product that's used, introduce new sizes, what would be the effects on purchasing of the product? So that's clearly talking about cannibalization and so on. What are the advantages and disadvantages of introducing new product sizes? So again, it's another way of asking those things. Discuss various stages of the PLC and explain how motor car manufacturers utilize it to create ongoing and renewable consumer demand. And this is a 20-mark answer. So it's kind of essay style that it's looking for, 1 to 2 pages on your answer script. Roughly speaking, 20 minutes that you would spend on it in the exam. So imagine how much detail. And again, put it into paragraph. Don't just use bullet points. You have to try and justify and help the examiner to give you as many marks as possible. So try and elaborate where possible. Explain the 4 ways in which consumer goods can be classified. So go back up to the earlier slides and find that one slide. So it's asking for 4 things. So in the exam, circle the key parts of the sentence. Explain. So this means definition and a little context. 4 things and how consumer goods can be classified, and it's 20 marks. So 4 things into 20 means it's getting 5 marks for each of those things. So let's flick back and find that slide. It's in one of the early, here we are. So consumer goods, 4 things, give some examples. So name it obviously, and then give some examples into context. And you get 5 marks for each of those. So try and put them into a paragraph for each one. So when it's a 20-mark answer, it's a paragraph each one you're looking for. And that's how you stretch it out, you know. And as I said, don't be afraid of, if you think, you know, restating things in different ways, you're showing that you really understand it in context. And you're just giving every opportunity to me or the examiner to give you marks. You know, 4 bullet points mightn't even get you 4 marks, depending on what way the marking scheme is set up. It could be a half a mark for each of those words, or 1 mark for naming it, 3 marks, 4 marks for definitions, or it could be 1 mark for naming it, 2 marks defining it, 2 marks for example. So think about how the grading is going as well, and make sure that, you know, if you're only talking about 2 of those things, you've lost half the marks. You're not getting, you know, sort of, oh, well, that was a really good answer, we'll throw in an extra 5 marks there. It doesn't work like that. If I'm hit by a bus, the marking scheme is locked in stone. Somebody else will just step in and they will grade it exactly how the marking scheme is defined. And we're not allowed to go outside that. So if the marking scheme says this is going to be graded 4 by 5 equals 20, then you have to make sure you have 4 somethings there, hopefully the right somethings, to get some marks. Other papers had explained the BCG for 10 and explain the Ansoff Growth Matrix. So draw the box diagram and explain, perhaps, you know, you might get a few marks for the diagram and then explanation marks for each of the 4 sections. And so that's about it for exams on this topic. And so we'll move on to the next topic in the next class. Thank you.